Hi, I'm David Nordfors. I'm the founding executive director of the VINNOVA Stanford Research Center of Innovation Journalism here at Stanford University. My job is to look at how journalism affects innovation, how innovation affects journalism, and the ability of journalism to cover innovation.
What about the importance of journalism towards innovation, or to bring a new innovation culture? How important is it today, according to you?
Very important, because today society is not... The increase of wealth in society, economic growth, our daily lives, our futures are no longer controlled by that we do more of the same. But it's more and more being influenced by that new things happen. New inventions come all the time that change our lives. And this means that the power in society is being moved from regulating the existing things, which is done by, for example, Parliament, to innovating the new things. So in a way, the power over our lives is moving from the Parliament to the boardrooms in Silicon Valley, for example.
Okay.
And with that, I'm not saying that it's bad that we get innovations. I think we get a lot of good stuff. But there is a disconnect between the politicians and the innovation economy today, because the politicians still very much discuss the old economy. And one of the reasons to why they do this is because they're democratically elected and they have to address their constituency. They have to get voters. And I think that here is where journalism comes in, that if journalism is organized to tell the story about how innovation happens, well, then there is a good reason for politicians to go out and address these issues, because these are maybe the most important issues in society today. How we do things differently than we did before. And if journalism is not organized to tell that story, and journalists say, okay, I do the business part and you do the tech part, and we do it on different pages.
Silos, like
silos,
in the car industry or in the pharma industry.
Exactly, then there's no business for politicians really to go out and discuss how these issues hang together, because it's not going to get into the news.
All right.
And then they can't address the electorate.
But what you are saying is that the media industry, the newspapers, the TV channels should reinvent themselves for the way they are covering things, topics, sector news in general also, because...
Yes. Yeah, well, I mean, I used to be a computer journalist in the beginning of the 90s in Sweden. And then there was a magazine called it was called the Windows magazine in Sweden. And a friend of mine who worked at the Windows magazine told me that the Windows magazine was made on typewriters. Okay? Because their job was not to use computers, their job was to write about computers, and then they used the standard tools of telephone and typewriter. So I think that in order to be able to cover innovation successfully, you have to also have it in your own organization, because, you know, the whole media scene, of course, is changing, and you just need it to be innovative anyway to be competitive. But I think that if you work in an innovative environment, you will understand it better and can cover it better, just like journalists who use computers probably are better fit to cover the computer market. So, so I think that kind of the question of journalism being innovative and journalism covering innovation, that melds together. So it's very important that we now think of what's the business model for the principles of journalism. And the business model for the principles of journalism, what we know today is that, okay, first of all, it has to build on innovation. Because nowadays you can't hope that you find one solution for journalism so that it makes a profit and that will hold forever. We've now come into the innovation economy also for journalism, which means that journalism probably has to reinvent itself continuously, like what is happening now in the camera industry, since cameras became digital. They have to reinvent themselves all the time. It's not about selling the product you have. It's about being the one who introduces the strongest next product in a year. or two.
Yeah.
So and it's also in the principles of journalism to report to people on how innovation happens, because it's not only journalism that's changing, the whole world is changing. And the job of journalism is to give the audience a picture of how the world is changing, what are the processes, who are the stakeholders, you know, what are their technologies.
Aren't they doing that enough today?
No.
Why so?
Well, I think that there is kind of partial visions of this, and you know, I think most journalists will say yes, we are doing it, but I think that when it comes to the point, you will still find very many tech editors who will say we don't write about labor policy on the tech page. And my point is, you have to be prepared to write about labor policy on the tech page.
That's where the issue is.
Yes, and we have to we have to talk less about tech and more about innovation. People today still think that tech and innovation are the same, but tech is, so to say, that's the technology that creates the new value, but the innovation is the process and the outcome that creates the new value, that includes the tech and the business and the politics around it. So, I mean, innovation is basically just the process of creating and introducing new value in society. That's innovation as a process.